Welcome back to Golden Stories, the channel where humiliation gets flipped and wickedness meets justice. If you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay locked in, because this story is about to crack wide open. The afternoon sun was blazing as a sleek black Mercedes-Benz rolled up to a busy car wash downtown, the kind of car that made heads turn and whispers follow. Behind the wheel sat Mr. Jordan Ellis, a sharp black CEO whose suit alone probably cost more than most people's rent. He wasn't flashy, but everything about him radiated quiet success. Polished shoes, watch gleaming, posture confident. He handed his keys to the manager with a polite nod, expecting nothing more than soap, water, and shine before heading home. But the manager's eyes narrowed, suspicion carving into his pale face. He turned the keys over in his hand as though they didn't belong. Staff members leaned in, whispering among themselves, smirks spreading like a bad smell. The air shifted. Jordan could feel it. That silent, heavy judgment that said he wasn't where he belonged. "Nice ride," the manager finally muttered, his lips curling. "Tell me, where'd you borrow it from? A music video?" The workers laughed, snickering loud enough to make sure Jordan heard. A couple of customers turned their heads, curiosity sparking. Jordan stayed calm, offering a small smile. "Actually, it's mine. Just need a quick wash, nothing fancy." The manager didn't budge. His eyes flicked up and down Jordan's tailored suit, his tone dripping arrogance. "Yours? Funny. Guys like you don't usually pull up in cars like this unless they're rented or stolen." The laughter grew louder. Jordan adjusted his cufflinks, unbothered on the surface but noting every sneer around him. He wasn't just a customer anymore, he was suddenly on trial in the court of small minds. Viewers, if you're enjoying how toxic this is already, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button, because this is only the beginning. The keys dangled in the manager's hand like bait, and he smirked as if he'd just caught something foul. Customers were watching now, their eyes bouncing between the shiny Mercedes and the black man who supposedly didn't deserve it. The whispers grew teeth. Jordan could hear snippets. "Probably a scammer. Bet he stole it. Must be drug money." It was the kind of chorus that burned hotter than the afternoon sun. Jordan, still cool, straightened his tie. "I don't have time for games. Please just have the car washed." His tone was calm, controlled, the kind of voice that made boardrooms listen. But here, it only fueled the arrogance. The manager stepped closer, puffing out his chest. "You think you can stroll up in here dressed like a Wall Street knockoff and fool me? This Benz isn't yours. Guys like you don't own cars like this. You drive used Hondas, maybe a beat-up Toyota if you're lucky." His laugh was sharp, ugly, meant to sting. One of the workers chimed in, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Bet his mama's still riding the bus while he plays pretend CEO." The room erupted in snickers. A kid recording on his phone whispered, "This is gonna go viral." Jordan took a slow breath, his patience measured. But before he could speak, the manager barked, "You know what? Let's settle this. I'm calling the cops. They'll decide if this is your car or if you're just another thief who got too bold." He pulled out his phone with a flourish, waving it like a weapon. The crowd shifted, buzzing with anticipation. Some leaned forward, hungry for drama. Others shook their heads, too scared to intervene. Jordan stood still, his silence louder than all their noise. Viewers, if this story already has your blood boiling, hit that like and subscribe button. Trust me, you haven't seen anything yet. Sirens pierced the air minutes later, red and blue lights bouncing off the polished hood of the Mercedes like a cruel spotlight. The crowd outside the car wash swelled, phones raised, hungry to capture the downfall of the Black Thief. The manager stood front and center, puffed up with smug satisfaction, arms folded like a man who had already won. "There he is, officers," he said, pointing at Jordan like he was presenting a trophy catch. "That's your guy, bold enough to roll up in someone else's ride and pretend it's his." Jordan adjusted his jacket and waited. No shouting, no pleading, just a calm stare that unsettled some of the quieter onlookers. The officers stepped forward, their eyes darting between the car and the man accused. One of them asked evenly, "Sir, can we see your documentation?" The manager grinned, whispering loudly enough for the crowd to hear, "Watch this. He's about to fold faster than laundry." The workers chuckled, egging him on. A woman in the back muttered, "Bet he forged the papers. They always do." Jordan reached into his briefcase slowly, deliberately. No rush, no fear. He pulled out the registration, insurance, his driver's license, even a corporate badge engraved with his name and title. He handed them over with the precision of a man who had done this dance before. The officer studied the documents, like his brow furrowing as he flipped through each one. The smirk on the manager's face began to twitch, then falter. "Well?" he demanded, trying to sound confident. "Tell us what we already know." But the energy in the air shifted. The whispers grew quieter, curiosity replacing cruelty. The officers stepped aside, speaking softly to each other, and suddenly the crowd wasn't so sure anymore. Viewers, if you're hooked on this twist, don't forget to like and subscribe because the real explosion is coming. The officer lifted his head, his voice carrying across the now silent lot. "This car is registered to Mr. Jordan Ellis, owner, Ellis Global Enterprises." He handed the documents back with a firm nod of respect. "Everything checks out. This man is exactly who he says he is." For a heartbeat, the world froze. Then the shift came. Gasps, murmurs, heads turning toward the manager who only moments ago strutted like a king. His smirk was gone, replaced by the sickly pale face of a man caught in his own trap. Customers pulled out their phones faster now, but this time their cameras weren't pointed at Jordan. They were aimed directly at the racist fool who had just made himself the laughingstock of the day. Jordan slipped his ID back into his wallet with surgical calm, adjusting his sleeve. He didn't need to raise his voice. His silence was louder than thunder. He glanced once at the manager, a look so sharp it sliced through the man's remaining pride. The officer leaned closer to the manager. "False accusations, public humiliation. You wasted our time, embarrassed yourself, and disrespected this man. I'd think about your choices." His words were steel, and every syllable landed like a punch. The crowd shook their heads, disgust dripping from their expressions. One customer sneered, "You owe him an apology." Another shouted, "Racist clown!" The humiliation snowballed, crushing the manager under a mountain of shame he couldn't escape. Jordan slid behind the wheel of his Mercedes, engine purring like it knew the victory was his. He didn't gloat. He didn't need to. His quiet dignity screamed louder than any insult. As he drove off, the crowd's eyes followed, respect etched into their faces. And the manager? He stood broken, drowning in humiliation, forever branded by his own wickedness. You've just watched another powerful story here on Golden Stories, where wickedness gets exposed and humiliation flips back on the oppressor. If you felt that sting of justice, don't just watch. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, because here, every story is a lesson, and every downfall is unforgettable. Stay golden.